Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And if you're an Xbox Game Pass fan, you're in the right place because they just announced 7 new July games, including a major AAA release. Actually, one of the most popular games of all time. So yeah, keep an eye out for that one. But then also a couple of day one launch titles as well, both of which I think are worth keeping an eye on. So we will talk about all of those today. And then also, these Nintendo Switch rumors have become absolutely ridiculous. All I've learned over the last 24 hours is how easy it is to push out a fake leak online. But we will dive into that today and maybe shut down some of the ridiculousness that this supposed leak is today. Speaking of Nintendo, though, let's just go and jump right into our first topic of the day. And most of the time, I like to talk about good and exciting games. But today's a little bit different because here's one of the most egregious travesties I've seen of a game in some time. Now, it's no secret that some quote-unquote creators like to exploit the Nintendo eShop with bottom-of-the-barrel efforts to kind of get a quick cash grab. But this one is, this one's truly something else. The Last Hope recently launched onto the Nintendo eShop, and right away, what does this picture remind you of? I mean, they're not even trying to be coy with this. This is fake Ellie and poorly designed Joel in a similar design city with, by the way, zombies. I mean, imitation is the best flattery. We always hear that. I get it. But, this, well, it's a game, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. I will say this much, though. How can Sony possibly argue that Nintendo isn't a competitor after this game? Nintendo now has a The Last of Us competitor. It's got zombies. Apparently, it's got a narrative. I don't know if it's any good. But Ellie, I mean, here she is proving the multiverse exists, hopping one game to the other. I mean, come on. If this isn't proof that Nintendo is PlayStation's competition, I don't know what is. Moving on, though, we do have some very exciting news for you Xbox fans out there because they just confirmed that they will be at Gamescom next month from August 23rd to the 27th. Now, not much details are actually known as of this moment. Aaron Greenberg simply said that they're excited to be back and that their teams are working hard on their show floor presence and more. So whether or not they announce or reveal anything new here, it's kind of hard to tell as of this moment, though. This does take me back to a statement made by Xbox's Matt Booty just last month. He did previously suggest that they still have Gamescom and the Game Awards to show games that weren't at E3. Games like Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, Everwild, and a few others like that. Now, I still wouldn't go in expecting any of these games. If they're there, that's great. But who knows? Maybe they do have a surprise in store. And at the very least, Gamescom, it continues to ramp up. Both Xbox and Nintendo will now be there, and with Jeff Keighley once again hosting Gamescom's opening night live event, it should be a fun time for gamers overall. Now, we also got some more evidence that a Red Dead Redemption remaster is possibly on its way sometime here soon. Of course, we talked about that Korean rating yesterday, which was already a good sign of its existence. But now Take-Two themselves, they're willingly fueling the speculation as they unveiled their 2024 fiscal year plans, which includes, in their own words, a release of 2 previously released games. That is coming directly from Take-Two. Now, their fiscal year goes to March of 2024, so realistically, we should hear about both of these titles relatively soon. That way they can kind of ramp up their marketing and all that. As for what they could be referring to here, though, again, a Red Dead Redemption remaster just based on all of the things that we have already heard. It is the most likely candidate here, and then maybe even a Red Dead Redemption 2 next generation upgrade. That is something that fans have been asking for quite a bit. Both of these games, for that matter, have been some of the most requested remasters, not just for Take-Two, but really for any games, period. I mean, these are very good games, and they do need a next-generation upgrade. So with that, I think financially, these upgrades would make a lot of sense for Take-Two. So that would be my guess as to what they're referring to here, but it is important to keep in mind that there are some other possibilities as well. They could bring back GTA 4. I've seen that brought up a lot online. With the popularity of GTA, that would also make a lot of sense. There's also Bully. We always hear about that series possibly making a comeback, and a remaster, could maybe help with that just a little bit. Either way, though, do expect a couple re-releases by Take-Two sometime here soon. But let me know, what would you most like to see. Let's go and talk about those new Xbox Game Pass games, though. There's always something to look forward to for you subscribers out there, and they did just announce 7 new titles that's slated to come over the next 2 weeks. And a few of these you might want to try. We can actually see the full list here, which includes Grand Theft Auto 5. That one is massive. Then also The Cave, Common Hood, Exoprimal, Nick Pixel 3, Tectonica, and then over on PC Game Pass, you have Insurgents Sandstorm. Now, this is actually a pretty big lineup for a few different reasons, of course highlighted by the ever-popular Grand Theft Auto 5. And yes, this does include the native Xbox Series release. This is not just the backwards compatible version. So while I do understand a lot of people have already played GTA 5, it is one of the most played games ever made. If you haven't played the next generation version, though, this would be the perfect time to jump in. It will be available today, though I think that there's a rather interesting backstory to this release. The fact that this is the second time that GTA 5 has appeared in Game Pass, I think that goes to show you they've had success in the past, or else they wouldn't do it again. In fact, Derek Strickland on Twitter, he pointed out that the last time GTA 5 appeared in Game Pass, the franchise revenue went up from $179 million to $210 million on a quarterly basis. That is impressive stuff, and we've talked about this just so much on the channel, but it's worth repeating for those Xbox Game Pass naysayers out there. A lot of games, including Grand Theft Auto 5, as we're seeing here, does benefit from Xbox Game Pass. That is a fact. And Take-Two is showing that once again here by putting GTA 5, one of the biggest games of all time, back into Xbox Game Pass, including its next generation version. So that's both a big get for Xbox Game Pass and subscribers alike. This, however, is just the tip of the iceberg for this lineup, though, because Capcom, they're launching Exoprimal directly into Game Pass on July 14th. Those day one releases, that to me is what really makes Game Pass what it is today. And you're going to get a pretty big one here with Capcom supporting Xbox Game Pass. Exoprimal, though, is like this weird cooperative shooter where you fight off waves and waves of dinosaurs. It's not exactly the dinosaur Capcom game that we've been asking for. Where's Dino Crisis? Come on, Capcom, let's make it happen. But in the meantime, Exoprimal might be a fun shooter to pick up and play with friends. The mechanics do look rather solid, and with different agile mech builds, it appears to have varying playstyles that'll keep players interested for a period of time. I mean, they even have Street Fighter characters planned at a later date, so Exoprimal might be worth a try. I do, however, believe Exoprimal is a perfect Day 1 Game Pass release, though. Prior to its Xbox Game Pass announcement, there really wasn't a ton of excitement for Exoprimal, but with its multiplayer and live service aspects, I think Game Pass will put a lot more eyes on this game, not just for Xbox, but for the other platforms that it's releasing on as well. And once again, contrary to what Jim Ryan, Sony boss Jim Ryan, told the FTC, this is why some publishers does in fact like Xbox Game Pass. Some games will benefit from those day one releases, and Capcom, this is a big publisher. They believe that will be the case with Exoprimal, and I tend to agree. It seems like a great fit. Jim Ryan, I mean, come on. I know it's hard, but stop lying. That's all I'm saying. And then for the other day one launch title, you have Tectonica, which is a little bit of a sleeper to keep an eye on. This might not be a big name per se, but I do think it's worth paying attention to at the bare minimum. It's a first-person building game that takes players beneath an alien planet where they'll gather resources, build machines, and establish a base to uncover the secrets of Tectonica. I mean, visually, it actually looks pretty decent. This is only early access for the time being, but much like Exoprimal, this is also a cooperative game if you do want to play with a friend. Cooperative games do fit very well into Game Pass. You don't have to convince each other to buy the game. You just already have it. And here with this lineup, hey, you do have a shooter like Exoprimal, and then with this one, a cooperative building game on top of that. Plenty of options here. But yeah, I think this looks like a fun lineup of games. I think for me, though, I'm definitely going to have to try Exoprimal. Let's see if Capcom can maybe continue their streak of hot games. Now, one thing that we're not short on are Nintendo Switch 2 rumors. Honestly, it's actually become ridiculous by this point. It's just a new rumor every single day, and they're all questionable at best. But somehow each and every single time they blow up online as if something credible happened. I mean, I get it. I want to hear about the Nintendo Switch successor as well. I think it's time, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, that only further confirmed that for me. I'm ready for a more powerful Nintendo console, just so long as it's, once again, a handheld. That's all I ask of Nintendo here. Make it a handheld, and we're good. But come on, I mean, we have got to stop believing every single rumor that we find online about the Nintendo Switch successor. That's all I'm saying here. Okay, I guess I should probably give a little context here. So what's happening is that somebody posted a picture online that claimed that NX2 briefly appeared on Nintendo's developer portal. So the idea is that only developers could have seen this, which honestly only raises more questions, if anything. How did you get this picture in the first place? That has to be asked. But it's just this whole, trust me, it happened type of leak. The only problem here, though, is that this leak is obviously fake. I mean, okay, again, I get it. I wish this was real. I really do. But this didn't come from some reputable source. This came from somebody on the Family Board forums who apparently just posted a picture that they found on Twitter, and it may have originated from 4chan. Not exactly a fountain of trustworthy sources. But again, this rumor spread like wildfire. Regardless of these red flags, it just spread all across the internet. But the lack of creativity with this leak is what makes it even worse. Now, if you don't know, the codename for the Nintendo Switch was NX. NX was a huge talking point leading up to the official Switch announcement. A lot of you all probably remember that. But as far as I'm aware, Nintendo has never used the same codename twice. And why would they? These codenames are used internally, and they're not just going to say NX2, which is a dead giveaway as to what they're referring to. Using the same codename twice kind of defeats the purpose of using a codename in the first place. It's just not going to happen. Even more so is that this picture, it shows the exact same logo as the Nintendo Switch. They didn't even attempt to be creative with that. Now, I guess the idea with this leak is that because the Switch is super popular, they'll just make a Nintendo Switch 2, which I hope is true. But again, that however does not mean that they'll use the same logo and, more importantly, the same codename. So yeah, I'm calling it now. I don't think that people need to take this rumor with a pinch of salt, not even a massive grain of salt. I'm saying that I believe that this rumor is fake. I'd be shocked if it was real, but we got to stop believing everything that we see online. I think, if anything, this rumor just kind of shows you how easy it is to make a fake leak like this and then have it still blow up online from there. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, should Xbox make a completely new Banjo-Kazooie or do a remake collection? And it seems like most of you all do want a completely new game. 48% of you all did vote for that, and then 30% of you voted for a Banjo collection. Now, all I know is that Microsoft needs to do something with this IP. It is honestly crazy that it's been this long since we've seen the last Banjo game. And that was Banjo Nuts and Bolts. Not exactly the game that fans were hoping for when Microsoft acquired them. So I'd honestly be happy with either a collection or a new game entirely. Now, I do think that a collection would make a lot of sense, though, just because we've seen it with Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. Those games had a lot of success with their collections, and I think Banjo would as well. I mean, it's easily among the top 4 3D platformers of that era. I mean, arguably even the best, depending on who you ask. Personally, it's my favorite 3D platformer from that era, and I think that they're still great to this day. Do check out those HD remasters if you haven't already played them. Remakes, though, would be the easier direction to take here, though, and then it would also be a good way of garnering interest for a completely new game after that. I mean, this is an old franchise after all, so they do also need to capture a completely new audience alongside its established fan base, and a collection of remakes would help with that, as we've seen before. I think the Insane Crash trilogy to Crash Bandicoot 4 is the perfect formula for Banjo-Kazooie to follow. I mean, for that matter, if Microsoft actually acquires Activision, toys for Bob. I mean, just kind of saying. Either way, though, please, Microsoft, let's do something with Banjo-Kazooie. It's been far, far overdue. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.